Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and berries, it's me, Bradley Goodham. Magic Brad. See? Little of this, little of that. So I'm waiting for my friend Cindy Lee. She's a travel agent professional out of Huntington Beach, California. And she's probably missed her flight or something to get here to Synergy Cafe here in Minneapolis. So I'm just kidding about that because we are strictly digital at this time. But for those that don't know, I do have a plan for I would like to have a physical coffee shop here in Fridley, Minnesota. So right now I'm kind of killing a little time because she's not here, and I'm going to show you what we're going to talk about. It's right here, mindset, and remember your why. So I remember the why thing came from Simon Sinek. He was the guy that was brought that up that made it popular, as far as I can recall. And it's about why are you doing this stuff? It's not really how you're doing it, but why are you doing it? When you get to that core thing about why, it'll kind of your passion will pull you through. You know, if it's important enough, I'm doing it for the money. Well, why? Why do you want the money? And you keep on asking that till you get to the real core issue of why you're doing what you're doing. So Cindy had suggested we have this little talk about mindset, and I think it's a very important thing. And I know that I have definite issues with it. I'm just full disclosure, transparency. I have a challenge with mindset because, and these are my excuses. I had alcoholic parents. We are in not such a wealthy home. You know, it was kind of, if I didn't eat my cereal in the morning, I got it the next morning. That kind of thing. We can't afford to be wasting food. So my mindset, I've had to work at all that stuff over the years. I had to learn and relearn, actually re-educate, because I believe that what happens when a person is conceived, when they're in the womb developing, they hear things, they feel things, the energy is going through and then when they're born and they start people talking to them, if your parents are having arguments and things like that, you're gonna react to that as a small child. And then if your parents are loving and kind and you know rewarding, you're going to grow up differently. So I believe that your programming of yourself is sort of created from conception to about age 7 or 10. People have said that, and I agree. You kind of get your basic personality is developed in that way. So as a good example, one of my best friends, David Stahl, him and I grew up as little kids doing magic. When we were little kids, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, a guy made a quarter disappear, pulled it out of my ear, and that's where the MagicBrad thing comes from, right here. Come here. And the MagicBrad thing right there, magicbrad.com. So him and I grew up differently. His parents were a little more well-to-do. His dad was like an executive with Cargill Corporation. And my dad was a construction guy. He was a bulldozer operator and sort of more blue collar and white collar situation. So that's probably why Dave and I got along, because we're so different. We're very, very different. Although we got similar lives with both parents deceased, and both got one full brother. So, but we grew up differently. Me and my brother, we don't go out to movies or go out to dinner and stuff like that. My friend Dave, definitely, him and Larry will go out and go to a movie together or go hang out together or go have dinner. So we grew up different, we act different, and I believe that is how we were brought up. So that's my little 2 cents on mindset, and I think it's an important thing. That for business and things, your worthiness. My wife is going through some course on that. She's got a book. I think it's called Worthy. Just that. Like, what is your value? If you're like a consultant, and maybe you wonder, oh, I can't be charging these people $5,000 for my consulting. Why not? Maybe that's your value. different people have different perceived values of what they think that they are worth as far as their business. Um, an example would be, I mean, this is a disgusting example, but that's just the way I roll. Not really disgusting, but kind of weird. But so, what is your value, your own personal value? Do you think you're worth $5,000? If someone was taking 2 hours of your time, is your time worth $5,000 or $10,000? Would you cut your finger off? Would you chop your finger off for $1,000? There's 5,000. You chop all five of them off. Would you do that? Probably not, because you probably value yourself deep inside of being valued more than that. We have a comment here. Who's the commenter? It is Leroy Educated Carlton. Oh, you know the book that my wife is reading. Got it. Here's Leroy Educated Carlton. I like your middle name. Yeah, educated. I wasn't real good in school either. When I went to school, I was kind of entrepreneurial pretty much all my life, and I didn't like school. My wife loves school. She loves to learn. She went on to college and she was teaching Spanish. She likes to learn. She likes to teach, and she's still doing that. Myself, I don't like to learn. I mean, I do learn, but I don't necessarily enjoy learning. I'm more of a doer. I figure things out and then I go get them done. I don't need to write it all down and know it and all that. It's just not the way that I'm wired, I guess. So again, the thing with mindset is it's kind of like a thermostat on your in your house. You set it for 77 degrees, or I set it for 77. My wife doesn't like me keeping it that warm, but I used to set it for 75 because that's when I graduated from high school. So you set it for 75, and when it gets a little colder out, the furnace kicks on and tries to keep it at 75. And when it gets less cold and it starts getting warm, it'll turn the furnace off, and maybe it'll turn the air conditioner on and try and keep it at 75. So that's the way we are. We're set to be at a certain level. Like some people are thinking of being a multi-millionaire. Okay. Oh, she's having computer issues. If she's watching this, hang on a sec. Cindy's trying to log on here. It's in your email and Facebook Messenger. There. So Cindy might be coming on and we can continue this call about mindset. So she's running a little bit late. I'm not sure what happened. But that's the deal. Getting yourself set at a certain level, and you need to start learning about or affirming your worthiness. What's your value? What's your perceived value of your product? And do you believe in your product or service? Where is your mind at? Do you believe that we're in an abundant universe? Is the universe infinite? Or do you think it's limited? Think we got limited resources and you got to start pinching pennies and you can't really spend too much and we're not going to have enough money. Do you have a scarcity mindset? A lot of people do. And it reflects in the way they live and the way that they operate. Ask a question if someone's watching on here. I think I got a couple of viewers. Go ahead and ask a question in the chat and maybe I can answer the question. She's yeah, I always send the link on Messenger and on email. I'm not sure where the link is in email. Crap, I hope doesn't cancel out. Well, it might. So it's Cindy trying to get tuned in here. Technology is an interesting topic. It always changes. I've been having some issues with this StreamYard platform that I really like, but it had some issues with the sound echoing, and I figured it out. I went into my microphone and my audio settings, and instead of it going to the default microphone and speakers, I set it to the microphone and speakers of this device. Instead of it going to there was a default tab and then another tab, and they're both going to the same thing, but one was default in the other one. So that might be what happened is there was a Apple upgrade or something, and then it doesn't work anymore. Who do we got here? We got how will a person begin to change their mindset? That's a great question, Leroy. I think that a good way of doing it is through meditation. It's almost a situation where you've got to erase the slate and get to a neutral space. And say your mindset was, okay, I'm going to make $100,000 a year, and you want to really make $1 million a year. You're going to have to change that mindset and start affirming. And I don't like so much those, they call them affirmations, because to me, what happens if I start saying an affirmation like, I am a millionaire, there's that monkey mind in my head going, you're not a millionaire. What you talking about? You're full of shit. Whereas there's this new thing called ask-formations, where you ask a question of, why am I a millionaire? And now your mind's going, why am I a millionaire? Because I really don't have it in the bank, but I'm a millionaire because I'm worth that much, or I'm valued that much. So I think that's my answer to that, is that's where you begin to change your mindset. It's not a drastic thing. You're not going to jump up to Elon Musk status, but you might have to climb the ladder up and get out of that hole that you're in and stuck in that the scarcity space and get into a more abundant mindset. So I saw that our friend Cindy tuned in here, so I'm going to go to the green room and get her. She's back there enjoying some of our digital Girl Scout cookies we've got back there. They're very low cal. And I'll go get Cindy Lee and we can get her opinion of mindset. Are you there, Cindy Lee?
I am. I'm trying to share your podcast, though. I'm unable to share it. So where's the link on here so I can share it to my brand?
Oh, that's okay. We're all good.
Yeah. Well, no, we have people tuning in, so I want to make sure.
Are you on your phone or on your computer? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Because the way to share it is all different.
Facebook. Oh wait, I could just go to the page.
Facebook, it would be on my Synergy Cafe page. Okay. And you'd have to find events on Facebook. Facebook is so hard.
I posted it earlier today. I just got to go to the live version. And then I could share that.
That'll work wonderfully. I like your hat.
There we go. Oh, Leroy Carlton is in the house.
Dun, dun, dun. Educated. He asked the question. He commented on a book that my wife was reading. I think it's called Worthy. And that's a mindset thing.
What's the comment?
Well, the one comment he asked about the book, and then the other one was this: how will a person begin to change their mindset? How do you do it?
Well, you have to tell yourself. I know that you said you don't like I am statements, but I do recite I am statements every morning and every evening. And a really great way to change your mindset is to create those I am statements, affirmations, affirmations, whatever you want to call it, with a date. Because when you have a date, you're going to accomplish those goals. And you want to go back to your why. What is your why? Why did you start of what you're doing? Just reconfirm that your why is super important, guys. That's where it all boils down to. You want to celebrate those who are around you. You don't want to be like celebrate, tolerate. You want to be in celebration, and you want to celebrate others every single day. You want to think of how you could help others. And if you have any kind of past trauma, that's the key, is to put your trauma in the rearview mirror and move forward.
That's right. You can't drive by looking through the rearview mirror. That's dangerous.
Says MagicBrad.com.
I'm not dangerous.
You're not?
No. I'm harmless, I think. But then again, that might be my mindset. Maybe I am dangerous. Or maybe I have the capability of being dangerous.
Well, we can get a negative mindset by the people that we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely.
So my biggest advice is for you to surround yourself with people who have more than you. Surround yourself with people who are abundant. Surround yourself with people who are posting positive on social media instead of negative, because negative attracts negative, correct?
Right. You end up going the wrong direction, unless that's where you want to go.
Yes. And even like on a social media post for Facebook, for instance, if you see somebody's post and you may not like what their post is, I mean, that is their space. Send them a private message, but never talk down to people on social media. You want to build people up. And that's that kind of goes back to what Leroy was asking. It's so important to be around those people and, start finding ways to help each other. And that's how you're going to change your mindset, by being the connector, being someone who wants to do well with others and help them grow, because we become successful by helping others become successful. So if you see a post on social media and say, for instance, I'm just going to put it out there, say it's about network marketing, right? And you don't really like the network marketing field, keep on scrolling. Don't get
That's
in there
right.
and be negative. Just let that person speak. I don't post anything negative. The only time I post something negative, my mom has leukemia and she has Lewy body dementia. So I'll post about the situation, but that's about the negative thing that I post. And it's so important to stay away from talking down to others. I don't even go on social media. If I had a bad taco somewhere, I don't even waste my energy on a bad taco. I just won't go back there. So,
That's a good one. Don't
but
waste
more
your energy on a bad taco.
But more importantly is netiquette. So netiquette is how you act online and how you treat others online. I mean,
Yeah, a
just
lot of people think that they're in this own just because they're by themselves with their phone. They don't
yes,
realize that when they're doing stuff, millions of people might be seeing it. And Leroy commented here also. He likes to surround himself with people who will make him elevate.
yeah.
It makes sense.
He's my brother from another mother for sure. Yeah.
Dun, dun.
And I will connect you to each other. And I actually was just on the podcast earlier. We did a pre-recording for National Bucket List Day, and that's one of the things we talked about is being a connector. I mean, I talk about how I send cards out. I talk about the really fun travel adventures I do for myself and my clients. But I spend 20 hours a week, which is probably more than most business owners spend, to think of people I could connect to my sphere of influence. Because that's how I've grown my brand, by being a connector and thinking of other people first. Does that make sense?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge sometimes. A person, when they get in their pity party and they're looking for somebody else to whine and complain to, but it's
Yes.
best to do that in private.
So another thing I want to talk about today is a lot of the stuff that we learn is taught from our parents. So it's up to us as the individual to either take, if our parents taught us negative stuff, which my father taught a lot of negative stuff. He tried to teach me to be prejudiced, and I wasn't having it. I'm a Leo, I make my own mind, right? And when I was old enough, 18, 20 years old, I actually turned that whole thing around. Or if your parents taught you to be codependent, or you were in a business relationship or a marriage or a boyfriend girlfriend relationship that was codependent, you can step outside of that codependent box and
Right.
be your own person and get in the right relationships that aren't codependent.
It is that kind of thing, like I talked about the thermostat, that it's easy to kind of go back and get into your comfort zone because it's your
Mhm.
comfort zone, but you need to get into a place like, okay, I don't have to do what I used to do. I can do something different and redo that mindset.
So let's kind of talk about codependency. Were
Okay.
you ever in a codependent relationship, and did you step out of that codependent box?
I guess we have to get real clear on what codependency is. I have been in what I'd call love, and it felt like I needed to be with this person, and if they're not
Yeah,
with me, so it's sort of that. And it was that was also kind of an abandonment issue that I had from
yeah,
childhood.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it might feel a little bit codependency.
Yeah, and that's just the thing we have to change as an adult, because we can't live in the past. And just to let your audience know, your past does not dictate your future. Just because I
Correct.
had a bad childhood, doesn't mean that I'm the same now. I've actually taught, although I'm not an actual person who, has the licensing for life coaching and stuff like that, but I actually share my story, and I've helped people break out of that barrier so they can get out of that codependency. They can stop getting in the same relationships, especially women. We get in the same relationships over and over and over and over again. So it's key to be okay by ourselves and never ever get in a relationship until you're okay with yourself, until you love yourself and you can be by yourself. Because codependency is a really bad situation if you don't step out of that codependent box to teach yourself that you're okay And, if you're in a relationship, it's so important to be able to do your own thing, go with your friends, then be with your partner. But to have 100% with the partner isn't a healthy relationship either.
Yeah, on that kind of note, it's good probably in a relationship situation. I think it's good to at least do a year cycle because when
Hmm.
you're in with someone, you go to Thanksgiving with the family, you go to Christmas with the family, you do Valentine's together, you do the birthdays together. You need to go that cycle again so you can erase all that stuff and take yourself up to the next level. Otherwise, you're going to rebound back into that. Oh, I feel comfortable with that person that used to beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, and you don't want to keep on repeating that cycle. Because I get to a point where, yeah, because most of my relationships were codependent. And I told myself in business and in personal that I can't be in that codependent relationship. I'm going to work on myself. So for 3 or 4 years, I actually took personal development. And as you know, I don't know if you know, but Anthony Robbins, actually, he had a situation with his mom and
Sure.
he broke out of that box and look where he is now. So you
Mhm.
just need to teach
He
yourself,
forgave
work
her
on
for it.
personal development, and what you're watching or these events that you're attending, you need to pick up what you learn and actually implement that. Instead of just saying that you've been there, you need to really implement and use that in your daily life.
Yeah, they say take massive action,
Hmm.
whatever massive is. Do something. Do something with that book you read.
Yes. Well, eventually you're going to make the change because you're going to get to the point where you're not going to like where you are and you're going to lose a lot of relationships, and especially in business. Yeah, it's just super crucial to get out of that box of what you learn. If you learn positive from your parents, that's great, but if you learn negative, then you really need to turn that around.
Well, that's the other part of our thing here that says your why. What's your why? Because your why will pull you through the hard times.
Hmm.
Because otherwise, you'll have excuses like, why am I doing this? I'm not making any money. I don't really need to make a bunch of money. I'm paying my bills. I don't care. But your why might be something about, feeding children, helping the homeless, taking care of cats and dogs that are
Hmm.
rescues. That your soul, your heart will pull you through. I got to get this thing done because there's something more important than me.
Like you want to pay off your school loans, you want to get a new car, you want to get a house. You can pull the bucket list in it. Like you've never been married, maybe you want to get married, or you want to write a book, or all those different things are just so crucial. But it goes back to your why. And when you join a company, it's actually really great, or when you start your own business, to actually have a why sheet. And on that why sheet, just like we talked about at the beginning of the show, like why you want that and what the date that you want to achieve that by. Because when you have a date to that goal, you're going to achieve it more. And then if it doesn't work on that date, then you do a new date and you just
Well,
keep
that's
on doing
that's an area I think some people get goals and objectives mixed up. Like I want to
it.
make a lot of money. That's more of an objective than it is a goal. Because a goal in like football, they have a goal. You have to cross that line, and you got a time window to cross that line. Otherwise, the buzzer goes off and you lose. So
Mhm.
you need to set a goal, a smart goal. It needs to be something that's specific and measurable and timely. So you're right. Put something on the date, and then you know when you accomplished it. Otherwise, you'll never know if you're there.
Yeah, because you have your daily goals, or I still call it bucket list. So you have your daily, your weekly, your monthly. What do you want to achieve in every 6 months, once a year? For 2024, what do you want to achieve by the end of the year?
I got one for you.
Hmm.
You ready?
Sure.
What if you don't reach your goal? Are you a loser?
Nope. Just start all over again. Just keep on. You got goal after goal after goal. Just start checking them off the list, right? But another great tip that I want to give you is an accountability partner. If you have an accountability partner for your health, for your financial wellness, fitness, everything, you should have an accountability partner for everything that you're
Yeah.
doing.
So you don't cheat because you can easily lie to yourself and say, "Oh yeah, I did it."
Well, what you do is you keep each other accountable and you write on the list, you would write down what each person is supposed to achieve. Let's just say by, like, if you meet your accountability partner every Sunday, so by next Sunday, you're going to go look at that list, and then your accountability partner is going to say, "Oh, actually, by today, you said you're going to do this. Did you achieve that?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Okay, let's do it again next week until you achieve those goals." Like, say, for instance, if you want to make X amount of phone calls in your business, it's called phone dumping. Like, so how many phone calls are you going to make? And all those phone calls, half of them should only be business. The other half should be gratitude and abundance. Because again, when you're putting other people first, they're gonna care more. And people don't care until they know that you care, correct?
That's what they say. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All those little Les Brown things.
Yes, yes. Did you ever get a chance to see him?
Sure. I used to be an affiliate for a company called the People's Network that Eric Worre had started.
Oh, yes.
And Les Brown was one of the faculty, along with Mark Victor Hansen and who were the Men from Mars, Women from Venus, Connie Podesta, all those fun. Jim Rohn, Ryan Tracy.
Have you read that?
I have not.
Yes.
I've heard about it because some people are talking about it.
Yeah, I'm words of affirmation. That's my love language.
Okay.
So yeah, sending somebody a card or a gift. There actually is gifts and services too. And I thought that I would score high on that. And here in the show notes for Brad, I'll actually give you guys a link where you could actually take the test for the 5 love languages, and it'll tell you what love language is. And it's not just married or couples, it's also singles, and they actually have one for teens as well.
And there might be one for, like Cleaver says, love yourself. Some people forget about that. You got a relationship with yourself too.
Yes.
And a relationship with your bank account and your higher power.
And your me time. Yeah, because if you're work, I mean, you got to pick one day a week that you have your me time.
Yeah, it's not all about other people.
Yeah, and then that's why you hire admins, so you're not there all the time, and you have your admins do the work, and you're out there doing your thing, and spending time with your family, and then having your one day by yourself to kind of help you grow in your personal development.
That's an area for me. I've hired a couple of admins, but it's hard for me because I feel I'm spending all this money training this person. Can't I just pay him and get it done?
Yeah. Yeah. And so what business is that for? Is that for your podcast?
Oh, let's see. I had a person that was calling exhibitors for my trade show.
Okay, nice.
And there's, what they're supposed to say. So I had to create a little script so they knew how to do it. And not being from this local Minneapolis area, because she was from the Philippines, so she didn't know the area. So I had to, maybe you should go on to a certain website directory and learn a little bit about these businesses. So when you're talking to them, you're a bit intelligent about it.
Yes. Yes. Another thing I want to talk about today is with what we talked about earlier about the people that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
There's going to be times in your life where you remove business friends, social media friends, and family. And trust me, once you remove those negative people out of your space, you're actually going to see a lot more abundance. You're going to feel better about yourself, and your business is going to grow, because when you have all that negative energy that's in your aura or in your space, that actually affects your business, and it affects your positive relationships, your relationships that are of abundance.
And I've heard people talk about, like, some of these things. If you're cutting off the family, this is a cult because they're separating you from the family. You don't have to cut yourself off, but find a priority. You know what? My sister is always negative, and I have an opportunity to go have coffee with Cindy Lee. She's much more positive. I'm going to have coffee with her. I'll see my sister at Christmas.
Or not.
Yeah. So it's a matter of prioritizing. It isn't that you're actually severing off the connection, but you got to pick and choose and make priorities about who do you want to circle yourself with.
Because you will become that person, and what you think in your mind is always going to come to fruition. So if you're thinking all this negative stuff, I mean, stuff happens. I mean, just over the last month, like certain people, haters and stuff come into our life. But once you hit your success, and especially since I've been writing my book, you just run into those types of people. And it's important to have people that are going to help you get out of that, out of your head, so to speak.
Do you do coaching, Cindy?
What's that?
You do coaching on this stuff?
I kind of came across doing coaching just by mistake because I was telling people my story. They're like, "Wow, you should coach this person and that person." And so,
Because my wife is a coach and I'm an advocate of coach, but it's
mhm.
hard for me personally because I just don't like taking other people's opinions. So I sometimes have to, when I wake up in the morning, I start doing that self talk and I'm
Yes,
giving myself some bad advice.
yeah,
So now
in
I'm
your
like,
head,
"Shake it
yeah.
up." And then I get more into a meditative state, and I've got this thing I call my morning mastermind, where I bring in people, whether they're deceased or alive. And I've had Tony Robbins in there. I've had Bruce Lee in there. I've
Mhm.
talked with my friends. I've talked with Donald Trump. I've talked with Elon Musk. And that way I'm getting advice from somebody outside of me because I give myself bad advice when I start doing the monkey mind talking to myself.
Yeah, I mean, I even do that too. I ran into some people recently that were just really nasty with me. And one of my friends had to say, "Hey, Cindy, you need to just step out of that situation." And so, yeah, because we're going to run into that. We can't really stay away from that. But as far as social media, we just have to pick and choose who's going to be in our space. Like people who are posting negative constantly on our space.
Yeah.
Do we want them in that space, or maybe sit down and have coffee with them? And another thing I want to mention is social media is great, making connections and reconnections. Like I've connected with a lot of people that I worked at. Like I used to work for UPS back in the 80s, and I have a couple friends from UPS that I've been reconnecting. It's really great, but the best advice is to get off this social media and meet people. Like I live in a really nice area where you could take dolphin excursions, like National Dolphin Day is coming up on the 14th. So I'm connecting with a couple of my Facebook friends. Some of them I've never even met. And we're going to do a little dolphin excursion, or, go for a walk. When you do a one-on-one for business, instead of on the computer, go for a little walk, kind of get to know each other.
Yep.
And, it's going to help your wellness. You're going to, exercise a little bit, and yeah, just be different and get off that Facebook or that TikTok or that or the YouTube,
Or Reddit.
and reconnect outside of the social media. Maybe have a meeting where you meet every week somewhere.
That's
Just
a
to
better thing too, because when you're face to face with someone, even if they disagree with you, they're gonna um, frame their disagreement a lot different than they do on social media. Because sometimes on social media, they're tough. You can't stop me from saying what I want to say.
well, I actually have some admins who run my socials, and so if I post something and anyone posts negative because they're mad because I'm positive or whatever, they're either going to get removed totally from my page, or their comments going to get removed. Because
Sure.
I talk about all the time, if you post negative on my page, your comment's going to be removed, or you're going to be removed, because we don't have room for those types of people in our life.
Well, that's where you got to be careful about all that stuff because you don't know what the whole context of it was. And an actual example was that person that was on my Facebook page because I did an I am statement and they
Mhm.
said something about it didn't work for me. They weren't speaking of the I am statement. They were speaking of the platform that we were
Mhm.
talking.
But it's still negative. So,
It is.
but you actually can dictate what you want on your page. So if someone posts negative, or maybe it wasn't negative to them, but it was for you, then yeah, that's actually happened to me before, where people will message me like, "Who's that person?"
Well,
And I said,
that's
"I
the
don't
weird
know
thing about
anymore."
social media. It's like I don't have any scarcity around Facebook friends.
Mhm.
They're all over the place.
Right?
Yeah, so I don't mind
Yeah,
letting
I
them
mean, it just
go.
goes back to practicing etiquette. Like I mean, one of the things my mom told me is to give someone a gift to make them smile. Or she said, say something nice to make somebody smile. I talk about in my book, The 1,000-Watt Smile. What are you doing? When you go to Costco, see how many people that you could compliment. I usually say, hey, I'm going to talk to 25 people a day at Costco and compliment them on their shoes, their shirt, their nails, whatever the case may be, right? you don't you really don't know what they've dealt with. Say they've gotten a little argument with their spouse, and then you're complimenting them on, whatever they're wearing, or, like if they have a nice smile. If someone has a nice smile, I always compliment them. And just a few weeks ago was National Random Acts of Kindness Day. So, but people really need to live in that mindset. And it goes back to the mindset. I mean, the mindset is like a huge topic. I mean, we could have several shows on mindset.
It is, and like you had said, you don't know what they've been through. When someone does something, they cut you off on the road. Maybe they did it by accident. Don't get so mad. Chill out a
No.
little bit.
You know, like someone's next to my parking space, go ahead. And then I'll see them in the store. Hi, how are you? Hope you're having a great day. They don't know who I am. They didn't know it was the same person that, got cut off. But to me, it's not even worth it. Yeah, it's just, you just brush that right off you and, move on
Yeah.
to something more positive. Yeah. Because
You
it's
don't
not
need
worth
to
it.
go slice their tires or anything like that.
What's that?
You don't need to go slice their tires because they took your parking spot,
No,
right?
no, of course, no. And sometimes I'll actually go in there and I'll buy them something like in line. And, I'll give them like a $20. Hey, this is on me. I'm just paying it forward today. Or if someone is behind me, like in Starbucks or, anywhere, I'll treat them to, a gift because you don't know what they're dealing with.
No, they
And
don't.
that really makes a difference. And then they'll talk about it after that.
Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Well,
Yeah.
Cindy, we've gone for 35 minutes here, and I try and keep mine a
Perfect.
little bit short, but I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on here and sharing
Thank
some of
you.
your experience.
And I will connect you to Leroy. I'm going to do an introduction here in a little bit. Okay.
What the heck? Why not?
Yeah.
Well, I got another one I'm doing. We do an hour long. Me and a guy, we go over to his wife's studio, and we
Nice.
just set up the camera and talk about random stuff. It's kind of fun.
Mhm. Yeah. There you go.
Well, cool.
All righty.
Take care. Be good.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. That was our friend Cindy Lee. And we were talking about, like I'd mentioned, the mindset, very important, and your why. Why are you doing what you do? Give that some thought. So, peace, love, and happiness. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be good, be kind, be nice. Did I say be nice?